Is it okay to be in a relationship even if I don't see a future with him but still love him? This is going to be a long post, so I apologize in advance, but basically, I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend since the last 2 years. And honestly, both of us have gone through a lot within these 2 years. I found out that my mom has been cheating on my dad, and basically I became the only sane person in my family for a bit while handling literally everyone's emotions till it consumed everything I had. Luckily things are improving in that end and I'm still recovering. While this was going on, I moved away to a different city to start my master's degree, which I dropped out of because it seemed like I chose a wrong course for my career and dropping seemed like the financially correct option. 10/10 best decision. Meanwhile, my boyfriend was my biggest support throughout all of this, but while I was away for my master's, he too started a master's diploma in a different state. And just before his classes started, his mom was diagnosed as bipolar and things started falling apart for him. Now, even before all of this happened, I had my doubts in regards with how ambitious he is in terms of his career. I'm a freelance photographer and he's a writer/amateur filmmaker. It was my idea to push him towards a filmmaking diploma because he had no experience in filmmaking as such, even though he wanted to pursue his career as a film director. He had his reasons to do things his way, I believe, but to be honest, even though I'm younger than him, sometimes I feel I'm professionally more experienced because I essentially started freelancing at the age of 19 and he just got started at 26. He's an engineering graduate and had a corporate job before this. Throughout these 2 years I've spent with him, I've grown immensely and I definitely love him as a person, but I feel like we're growing apart. I'm really not sure about his feelings on this, but both of us nursed our own depression at different points of time during this relationship. And for a while that time kind of overlapped. It's been a year since I dropped out and we've been living together since then, both of us away from home. It's been amazing living together, but it's been taxing too. It's basically been like marriage light, and the older I'm growing the more I'm realizing I really want to get married and start a family. I like to believe I'll be ready to get married by the time I'm 26, 27, and the way my career is progressing, I'll be happy to settle down by then. I want to be a mother too, so the whole biological clock thing really haunts me sometimes. But I don't think I'm going to marry the person I'm with right now. He doesn't seem ready both in a financial and emotional sense. I see that I have 3 to 4 years, but it's really confusing. I don't feel like I'm ready to break up because life has been really hard in the last few years and I genuinely need some normalcy, but the idea that I also need to look for the right person to marry is scaring me. What should I do? Am I too young to be thinking this much? Comment. The time you spend with someone you don't see a future with could be spent finding the one you do see a future with. Not too young, but definitely too much. You need to sit down and talk to him about this. And keep an open mind. Ask yourself what specifically you deserve more of, and why you are deserved it. Please note, I'm not saying that you do or don't. It's just an attempt for you to be honest with yourself. You already said it yourself, if you don't see a future with him, then there's your answer. It's okay to remember fondly the times you spent together, even if what you're describing is trauma bonding. Makes it a lot stronger. When it's your life, you have to make decisions based on yourself and no one else. I wish you luck. You stated the problem yourself yet again, you became codependent. That perfectly explains why you're scared to be alone. Just know it's okay. Like a lobster shedding its shell. It completely exposes you to the dangers of the unknown, which may or may never happen. But you'll never grow if you don't shed that shell and become vulnerable. You can do this. I believe in you. You know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. It just feels hard because of course you don't want to hurt your current partner's feelings, and the overthinking only adds fuel to that fire. I think that's a fantastic plan for you to focus on yourself for a while. I have some reading and meditation examples you could use if you'd like to hear them. Just know that there is never really an end goal in becoming self-content, it's the journey. Education and knowledge really helped me through childhood trauma. I'd happily share what I learned of you'd like. I saw another post like this a while ago back and I'll write the same thing here that I wrote there. I hope one day you find yourself a rich man and that you live a long and happy life with his money. Break up with your current boyfriend, so he can find someone who actually loves him. He deserves better, you're wasting his time. You are not too young to be having these adult thoughts. But, you are too young to act on them. Boyfriend adds stability and joy, even if temporary. Make absolutely certain that you do not get pregnant. Love is a feeling that needs constant care, it dies when people don't put effort. I know life was hard, but he was there for you and you see there for him. He might be older and less experienced in freelancing, but you can help him. Grass is always greener where you water it the most. If this is really that deep and there is no ointment in seeing to get her, don't waste each other's time. CPZ, time is money. Next story 2. My boyfriend changes his tone in voice a lot and I don't know how to handle it. Hi, I am using a throwaway since he's on Reddit often. A little bit of our background: we've been dating for almost 2 years now, and we're both still in school, uni. Whenever I first started dating him, I felt like I haven't connected with anyone this much before in my life. He's amazing and I love him so much. I just have one issue: his tone of voice scares me sometimes. I am so sorry if that sounds confusing, but I can elaborate on what I mean. If we're out with friends and I start joking around with him, he'll sometimes have this angry sounding tone and start borderline yelling at me. I bring it up to him later and he says that he's not mad and that he has a naturally louder voice than others. It's happened a lot of times before and it just makes things really awkward. I don't like drawing any attention to myself in any way, shape or form. So whenever he does that, I feel like everyone and everything is staring at me and I feel like crawling in a hole and crying. He reassures me all the time that he's not mad, but I just don't know how to accept it. I automatically think he's mad at me whenever I make a lighthearted joke towards him or any time I accidentally cause a minor inconvenience. I'm very clumsy. For the most part, he's very calm and fun to be around. He makes me smile and laugh a lot. It's just these instances that make me really sad. I grew up in a super toxic household. My dad would yell at me over the smallest things and I can only ever remember him being angry. My dad never liked it when I showed any sort of negative emotion. I tend to get super scared and quiet if anyone is yelling. So whenever my BF raises his voice like that, it just makes me shut down instantly. I feel as if I can't speak or respond to him at all. There's been several times where he gets annoyed at something I say and it's like he switches a flip inside his mind and starts appearing more aggressive. Examples: if I leave out a shirt on my desk as I'm changing and forget to put it back, he gets mad and raises his voice. I apologize for it. If I ask him to please not do something I'm not okay with, he gets annoyed. If I have a last-minute change of plans related to work that I have absolutely no control of, he gets super annoyed. I apologize endlessly. If he's hungry, he starts taking out his frustration on me. This one happens a lot. I beg him to stop doing that since it's stressful, but he says that he can't eat without me. I have appetite problems, so it's hard for me to get hungry a lot. He also gets upset about this. I just feel like I'm always too sensitive. I know he says he isn't mad at me, but I can't help but to feel like he is. How do I become less sensitive to changes in tone? I don't want to cry anymore. I just want to be a good girlfriend and not make him frustrated anymore. Comment: why are you with someone who can't respect your boundaries and is constantly trying to intimidate you into submission? This guy is a walking red flag. I don't care how much he makes you smile. He raises his voice at you for leaving a shirt out. He gets annoyed at you asking him not to cross your boundaries. He takes his frustration out on you just because he's hungry, and then he blames it all on you because he's a big baby who can't eat alone. Then he tries to police your hunger? Please, for your own sake, recognize this for what it is, and get away from him. You seem not to trust your judgment. Have any of your friends been there to confirm that he is angry or what? Listen, if his voice makes you uncomfortable, that is your body telling you something isn't right. There is this book called The Gift of Fear. Read it. You have ended up with someone like your dad. Being volatile and making you uncomfortable are not qualities you should be ignoring or excusing. Does he talk to his friends like this? His parents? His boss? This is a tough situation. Do you feel like what he is doing is abusive, or does he just have this weird trait that makes you uncomfortable? Do other people make you feel this way when they raise their voice or are critical? If the answers are no, there is something wrong. Couples have verbal arguments from time to time, nothing wrong with that, but if his actions are causing you mental, emotional, or even physiological stress, there is something wrong. I highly recommend that you have a serious conversation with him, after he has eaten his lunch or dinner with you. Or maybe by himself like a big boy. Tell him exactly how you feel. Don't let him brush it off or change the subject. Absolutely do not let him get super defensive and turn things around on you. We sometimes need to learn how to live with our partner's quirks, but not when they cause us real stress. I wish you the best of luck. I would talk to him about it. Really talk to him about it. If he's a good guy, Like I hope he is, he will truly hear what you tell him and make noticeable changes in this behavior. It might not happen overnight, but you should see serious changes if he cares about you. Next story 3. I no longer love my wife but can't be bothered to get a divorce. Some context: my wife and I have been married for 4 years. In the last year, however, I find myself not wanting to interact with her. I actively avoid coming home and would rather drive around all night or go to the gym for hours. I will even spend extra hours at work just to avoid coming home, even ask to work on Saturdays. It's become a regular thing now and will happen a minimum 4 times a week. Some background about me: I've had depression since I was a child, likely genetic as my father also has it. I'm not suicidal nor would I take my life, but have often spent months on autopilot when I was younger. I also have ADHD but have only recently been diagnosed properly. I'm on medication for both. I have been actively working on my conditions for several years and will continue to do so. I am in therapy and attend a ADHD group to try continue improving. I've always been a normal functioning person: job, friends, social life, interest etc. Slowly trying to learning and acquiring qualifications to advance my career in the construction industry. I used to play video games in my free time, was looking forward to playing BG3, and would play D&D with friends, work out, and go hiking. I met my wife 6 years ago and was deeply in love with her all throughout our dating and engagement. She presented as a loving, caring and thoughtful person throughout this time. I don't particularly like her family or friends, but they're bearable in small doses. We got married back in 2019 and had an expensive wedding and honeymoon. However, post our wedding my wife has been controlling, demeaning, and aggressive. She will actively keep me awake both at night and in the morning to listen to her talk about me. Several nights in a row she kept me up to explain to me how I had not been achieving what she wanted and was a disappointment. Any suggestion of her going to therapy or talking to someone are met with rebuttal and excuses. In the end I just stopped bringing it up. We've been to couples therapy, but whenever it came time for her to do work it was rebuffed/avoided and redirected back to me and my conditions. My wife is very caring and loving to family members, friends, and in general. In private she's aggressive, arguable, and controlling. She stops me from playing video games, will pull cords out of the socket if I even dare touch my PC, it's now just in the box in the cupboard, takes over any personal space I have in the house, my desk is just a dump for her crafts, monitors all my spending, bought an energy drink last week and within 5 minutes she was yelling at me over the phone, and will actively tell me I'm not doing enough around the house to show her I care. Additionally, she recently has taken to commenting about how I look and what I wear. Makes me check in every couple of hours and will only let me spend money on approved expenses. Whilst most of the time I can handle this, lately it's just worn on me and has developed into me avoiding her. She's lately also been demanding that we have a child and that I'm lucky anyone would want to be with me. She woke me up yesterday yelling after I forgot to take my medication one day. I've done this twice in the last 2 years and both times have been told I was throwing away our marriage by doing so. I have spent a lot of money, time, and energy on our relationship and frankly I can't be bothered to end our marriage. I guess I'm just so used to her behavior and have just become numb to it. I've spoken with close friends about it and the advice I've received is along the lines of suck it up and put up with it. Or oh, it can't be that bad, just talk to her about it. Or my personal favorite, you're lucky to have someone that cares. Am I in the wrong? I have thought about just leaving without saying anything and starting a new life a state or two over. I don't think it can be fixed, or should I just do as she says and just remove how I feel from our marriage? I can imagine that plenty of people live like this and just mentally detach. Any advice would be helpful. Comment. Your wife is emotionally abusive. It sounds like you walk on eggshells all the time. That's no way to live. Home should be your comfort zone and a place you look forward to being. Stop being lazy and end it. You know it's the right thing to do and you owe it to yourself. And do it before you get in any deeper. She's talking about having a kid. That's the nail in the coffin that will tie you to her forever. Also, I know she's not a great person, but allowing this to continue isn't fair to her either. Yes, Op should get out before he accidentally has a child. Op, you are afraid to end this because she is mean to you. Do you have somewhere you can stay? A friend or a family member? Get your important documents and some clothes, go stay with the friend. See a lawyer and let the lawyer handle the divorce. Bro. She sucks. If you don't divorce now, the remainder of your life will suck too. Simple as that. You can dance around the fact, but your wife is terrible and my day just got a little sadder just hearing about your life. If you're too lazy to do anything about that, then you deserve the unhappiness that awaits you. But please don't bring a child into this mess. Right. Up, do not have a child with her. Nail in the coffin is correct. Take it from someone who has been there. If you ignore these red flags of abuse and have a child with her, you will absolutely be in way worse shape. The child will become more of her MO when abusing you. Be careful of opportunities for her to accidentally get pregnant.